Let's go!
All right, this is the first video for the Jungle Hippie Homestead. And I got a lot to cover, so I'm just gonna jump right into it. This video is gonna be just an introduction to the project, an overview of the plan, and a brief tour of the farm. I'm currently walking up the driveway, and I know the camera doesn't capture it quite well, but it is quite a steep driveway. So, this is actually my second time filming this, because the first time I tried to use a really cheap wireless mic to kind of upgrade the audio from the mic on my cell phone, and it ended up sounding terrible. So, some bananas growing right on the driveway. And here's the structure. This is where we live. We actually live up there on the 3rd floor. I'm getting out of breath just thinking about retaking this video. And I know it's gonna be quite lengthy. I'm gonna try to keep it shorter this time, but because this is my second time taking the same shot, I do know that it's gonna take a little while. So, despite the audio quality on that wireless mic being terrible, one good thing that it did was not pick up any of my heavy breathing, which I'm sure is gonna be quite prevalent in this version. But I was rewatching the video as I was about to upload it, and even though I really don't want to get all nitpicky about content and everything, the audio is just made the video unusable. So hopefully the wind doesn't do the same for this one. So we moved to this property 2 years ago. My wife and I. And for the first year and a half, I walked this property every day, multiple times a day. Which is unreal for me to think about now. And this wasn't a road before. It wasn't even a trail. It was grass up to here, over your head. Not just grass and vines and itchy stuff and dead trees and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that wind feels nice, but I'm sure it sounds terrible. And just like the driveway, I'm sure this video doesn't properly represent how steep the incline is coming up here. Whew. Also recorded that first one right after sunrise, so it's not quite as hot as it is now. It's a warm day here in the tropics. So, like I said, this is an introductory video. Everything that I kind of just glance over, I will come back and talk more about in later videos, including fruit, projects, all that kind of stuff. A ton of fruit on the ground right here. That's coming from this tree up here. It's a sand tall tree. But one good thing about having to reshoot this is able to remind myself not to get caught up talking about the fruits and stuff. in this particular video because I did quite a bit of blabbering in the first take. So as we get up here, I'm gonna come take some shade under this mango tree for a bit, run my mouth, put that machete down. So this is the first landing of sorts. This is where a nice campsite could be. Right here behind me. Those buckets I've been using to water new plants and trees that I've planted. And then it's not currently cleaned right now, but this is the path to a trail which goes to one of the cabin sites. Man, that breeze feels good. I'm gonna keep catching my breath for a second and then show you guys a little bit of this view over here before us keep going up. As you can see, the road keeps going up that way. That's where we just came from. Come check out this view for a second. Wow. I've been here 2 years and this is doesn't get old. All right. Caught my breath. Let's keep going up. Beautiful mango tree right here. So I'm trying not to make this video all about fruits, but I can't help myself on this one. Look at these figs. This fig tree that I planted. Been enjoying some figs from it all summer. So I'm going to just be pointing out a couple things, fill in some silence with some random tidbits here and there, and then when I get to the top of the property and I'm not completely out of breath, chat about what the vision is, what we're doing here, what's all this about. Man, that heat is something. Another big old beautiful mango tree. And we got some interior views of the rainforest instead of looking out at the Caribbean Ocean, well, the Caribbean Sea. And as you can see, where we're following still has dirt on either side, like a road. It's from where I've been driving up here. Every bit that we've walked up until now, all was completely overgrown, even though this doesn't look like much. Just the small resemblance of a road here speaks to the amount of work I've done. And where we're headed, I actually haven't finished the road, so kind of get an idea of what it looked like down yonder before I got started. Now I am gonna have to watch my steps and navigate this area because most of the maintenance that I've done has been back down there and around the corner. I haven't come down here much, and all along the road is filled with this Ortiga. It's nasty stuff. It's the Caribbean equivalent of stinging nettle, but it's way worse than the stuff that you encounter in the States. Oh, and some more motivation to keep this video short. My phone is running low on battery, so we'll see if we can't pick up the pace a little bit. As you can see, I've driven all the way up to this point. See, it looks like a road. Tire tracks on either side. And then boom, this giant boulder that I have yet to move. And that is what has stunted the progress thus far on the road. Now, that would already be done if that was the only thing I had going on, but this property is abundant with projects. I'm gonna stop right here for a second. See this little placard right here? I can barely read it, but that says Carambola, Southeast Asia. A lot of the fruit trees on this property have those placards. Now Carambola is star fruit, and if I look up, you can see that this tree is just loaded with them. All of that yellow is just pretty much overripe star fruit. Some point today I'm gonna have to come up here and harvest what I can before it's too late and they're all just fermenting on the floor, which is what happens. Star fruit everywhere on the floor. Anyways, keep going. Another big improvement on this recording versus my first attempt was I didn't bring a spider stick or a machete, and I pretty much half of that video was me swatting spider webs and eating them and getting them all over my face. So kind of nice to have already done all of the spider swatting and actually got a machete this time. Rookie mistake coming up here without one the first time. So I'm just gonna point out real quick, as you can see, we're just like in straight up jungle at this point. No resemblance of a road anymore. So I should tell you how much work I've got ahead of me. And the incline is also serious right here, which you're not able to see. So this section of rehabilitating the road, massive downed trees in the way and the likes, it's gonna be quite a job in itself. But why am I recording all this now when it's not done and it looks so bad? Well, that's part of what I wanted to do, is document the process. Actually been beating myself up because I've been busting my butt on this property for 2 years and haven't documented much of it. Another big boulder that's gonna have to move. But yeah, I've done quite a bit up until this point that I don't have any video of, so that's part of why we're doing this. Man, you wouldn't think that I've been up here just a couple hours ago. There's so many spiders already taking place of the ones that I took down with my face last time. So, how do they build these things so fast? Goodness. All right, so here is where it gets tricky. I might have to, at some point, upload that first video just for the comedic value of it, because I'm serious. Every step I took, I was just eating spiders and falling. See, this is totally unmaintained, but at least I've walked it once today, so it's somewhat defined. That's somewhat of a trail right here. Spiders galore. Whew. Plenty of Ortega right there, waiting for me to not be looking. Man, spiders. Yeah, 2 years ago, before moving here, I was actually quite arachnophobic. That was something I had to get over pretty quickly. As you can see, there's no trail here. I'm just stepping blindly into thick greenery with all the spiders and everything. Man, it is hot in the sun today. Big clusters of Ortega all around here. What a nasty plant. Well, I take that back actually. It's nasty to get stung by it. But it does have some healing properties. Indigenous peoples have made tea from it for a long time. Got big anti-inflammatory properties. But all that said, I don't like touching it much. I actually managed to walk this entire route the first time without getting stung by any, which is not common. I'm hoping I can keep that streak up. Now we're almost there. This just got cleared up. Almost where? Well, I'll show you. Give me a second. Yep, got a big face full of spider in here earlier. All right. So, we're gonna walk over here, take in this view for a second, and I'm gonna go inside, talk for a bit. Look at those beautiful bananas right there. Those are ready to come down. And I can't even, there they are. I'm clearly a pro videographer. Anyways, inside, where are we going inside? I'm about to show you. All right. So, where am I? What are we doing? What does this not so inviting building have to do with anything? I'm gonna put this down and talk for a second. So, all right, there's nice. Nope, maybe right here. Sure. So back in the 80s, a gentleman bought this 12-acre plot of land and started planting exotic fruit trees all over it. And then at some point built some cabins and was hosting travelers that wanted to reconnect with nature and stay on the farm and learn about fruits and stuff and A, B, and C, and he had a cool little gig going. But at some point he developed Alzheimer's and was moved to stay with his family, and then hurricane after hurricane hitting this property, and lack of maintenance and everything, and just sitting derelict. It became totally overgrown and not even a shred of resemblance of what it was in its heyday. So that's where we come in. My wife and I moved to this property 2 years ago, and we've been slowly trying to restore it to its former glory. And our vision has changed slightly throughout the process. Originally, we wanted to rebuild there's 3 cabins on this property that were built on concrete foundations, which I'm going to show you. And the cabins were built out of wood, so the foundations are still here, but the cabins are long gone, obviously. Look at that view, just beautiful. So we wanted to rebuild the cabins, but build them out of block and concrete so they last, and then set up some other campsites because it's a massive property, lots of potential campsites. And then this building right here, I'll tell you what it was before I tell you what we want it to be. Robin, the gentleman who built all of this, was building this as his dream home, way up on the property, much higher up than the house that we live in, way down at the bottom of the property. And on the other side of this wall, there's a bathroom. This place has its own water. It was ran for electricity, as you can see, but electricity never made it up here. And this project never was seen to completion. So and now, as bad as this looks, just the fact that I can access this building is worlds better and cleaner than it was when I first got up here. Actually, all of this material and everything, this wasn't even empty. This was just floor to ceiling, similar to the carport downstairs, of just trash and building supplies and old surplus stuff from the Roosevelt Roads Naval Base down the road. But our goal for this building is to turn it into a commons building of sorts for our guests on the farm, somewhere where we can eventually have electricity, bathroom, hot water shower, a refrigerator, somewhere to keep your stuff, and a place to cook, and also somewhere where we can, it's a commons building. It's where people can choose to socialize, and other stuff that we want to do, like yoga and massage. And I'd like to have a spa in there. And you're thinking, the way it looks right now, a spa, are you crazy? Man, I just know what I'm capable of, and I see the potential in all this stuff. And when I say a spa, I don't mean like a 5-star resort spa. I just mean some spa amenities, a sauna and a cold plunge. Those 2 are both very achievable. So I was talking about that path that I took up to that building being a road, and it no longer is, but at one point it was, and that's obvious because there's a concrete building up there. How do you think all that stuff got up there? But as poor condition as that road is in, thankfully it's not the only way to access the top of the property. Now when I say the top of the property, I mean where the road ends. Let me get in here some shade so I can see the phone. We just came from up there. The property extends higher than that concrete structure we were just at. It's actually a 3rd cabin up above it. So that wasn't the top of the property, it's just the top of the road. And that's where that road is how all of that stuff got up there, when it was still drivable and Robin was able to drive his truck up here. So I'm going to show you this first cabin site, and then I'm going to tell you about how our plan and vision has changed as I've done more work here. But first, let's just stop right here for a second and check out the view of this cabin site. Isn't that incredible? Let me zoom in right here. It's a waterfall in the distance. So, I was talking about these cabins with concrete structures, but they were built out of wood and this, that, and the third. They weren't built on concrete slabs for the foundation. They were built on these pillar-like constructions. So the floor right here, this is just scrap wood that I've laid down across these beams, but originally that was the floor of a wooden cabin. And there were 3 of these identical And all three of them, the cabins are gone, but the foundation is still there. So like I said, the original idea was to rebuild those cabins, but out of concrete. And then I decided that these spots where the cabins were built are just so much better than any of these potential campsites that instead of rebuilding the cabins, which is going to be pretty labor intensive and time intensive, especially considering we're 2 years into this project, I figured, you know, after I threw some scrap wood down here and made a platform, I threw up my nice canvas tent here. And this thing has actually been sitting up here for over a month now. I've seen a lot of rain, a lot of wind. It's still standing strong. Again, you gotta appreciate this view. I ignore all of this. This is just random stuff that someone else had left up here. Anyways, after clearing this site and just for me throwing my little 2-person tent up here, I came to the realization that it was much more achievable to just replicate this, but with larger tents, obviously. Same brand, but they make an 8-person tent. And also, let me show you one other thing. So as you can see, these scrap wood is laying on one of those beams I pointed out over there. And then the second one is right here, running this way. There's actually a third one right there. So the full width of this is double what you're seeing represented here with the single tent on there. So, and also this tree, I cut the scrap wood around it instead of cutting the tree, but eventually the tree will be gone. And just imagine this is like a large deck that I can set up a tent temporarily, not be committed to building entire structures out of concrete. And if we get some bad weather, I can take these suckers down and keep them protected. So, and I'm not gonna use scrap wood, use some kind of worthwhile material to essentially gonna just turn these into big decks that can have a large tent put on top of them. Now this particular cabin site is actually pretty special because this, what looks like a fire pit, was actually a small little infinity pool. Now it looks even more so like a fire pit because I've got a bunch of dry dead wood in there because I've been burning it out actually to try to clear it up. But if we get down in here, you can see right over the edge, this is this little infinity pool that was just for the guests of this particular cabin, which I just think is cool. Gonna try to make that a thing again. So originally the idea was to rebuild these cabins and have campsites, and these tents were already part of the original business plan, but the idea was to have just bare bones campsites for rent, but then to appeal to a broader audience. Maybe not everyone wants to take their own camping gear to the Caribbean. We were gonna have tent rentals, high quality tent rentals. And then the third level of accommodation, I guess if you will, was gonna be the concrete cabins. Those are gonna be the top tier offering. But I'm kind of over the whole concrete thing. I think the tents are cooler. They're high quality, so it's kind of like the glamping experience, especially if you don't have to set it up yourself. And but on top of hosting people, it's not all I wanted to do. Like I mentioned, massage and yoga and spa amenities earlier. Also want to do some cool workshops on, organic living, healthy eating, farming and agriculture, even small things like how to process coconut milk and other things like that I enjoy teaching and showing people. And I came to the realization that the way I had structured this whole idea as kind of like a open to the public reservation type situation just wasn't really realistic, because if you've got big groups of people that aren't together, it's kind of hard to do workshops and lead tours and stuff like that. So quick segue. We went that way down the road, circled back up, and then came back down this footpath. So there's road and trails that access the top of the property. My phone is gonna die before I finish this video, so that just encourages me to keep it short. Back to what I was saying. Open to the public, kind of just like a campsite situation. As cool as it was, it didn't align with everything that I wanted to be able to provide to people as far as experience. And I came to the realization that a campsite isn't what I wanted to build, but a retreat center. So that's what we're doing. It's not only about the retreat center, it's also just a homestead. My wife and I and our dogs have been enjoying living off the land, getting back to nature, living closer to nature, living in nature practically. And super blessed to have this opportunity. Been enjoying every minute of it, even the tougher parts. But just like walking up the farm wasn't easy, not everything is easy, and then you get to walk down and not be out of breath the whole time. So that, in a nutshell, is a brief overview of what we're doing, a brief little tour of the farm, and a little bit of the history here. Like I said, I'm not a videographer. One thing that I don't want to do is get lost in the sauce when it comes to video editing and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a content creator. I just want to document this process, and based on some of the content that I consume that I find appealing, I thought that there was a chance that some other people might find this interesting. If not, then I just end up with all of this stuff for myself, all organized. That's fine with me. Yeah, don't plan on spending a lot of time in any editing software or anything like that, unless I end up finding joy in that. If that's something that is fun to me, then maybe that will come. Maybe there will be an increase in production quality, but don't hold your breath on that. It's mostly just going to be real raw footage. I'm going to do a lot of time-lapse stuff on projects because I think that stuff is cool. Well, sorry for the abrupt transition. My phone did die, and I wasn't done, so that's why the lighting has changed. Went and charged my phone for an hour, and now I'm back finishing this video. So, like I was saying, I do some like time-lapse stuff of some of the projects I do. Might do some like short tutorials on planting fruit trees and processing coconut milks and how to identify certain things and that kind of stuff. But mainly this channel is just going to be documenting the process of setting up this homestead and this retreat idea we have in mind. So again, this is where we live. This is the structure. I mentioned having not done before and after photos for 2 years. I do have some videos and pictures and stuff that at some point I'll upload for comparison's sake, but as bad as all of this looks, when we first got here, let me step back out here, sorry. You see this is a 3-car carport, and you see this one's just full of stuff. As bad as this looks, all this is organized in plywood and metal, and ignore the kayaks and everything. This looked even worse than it does now, and all 3 of these carports were identical. You could barely make it through breezeway to the back porch, or to the stairs, I should say. So the fact that I can even park the vehicles and walk back here is a massive, what it used to be. Even this was lined up on the walls with junk and wood and metal, and you had to like tuck your shoulders in just to squeeze through here. And that's the backyard that my dogs use. And then behind the backyard, there are 2 trails that I have not maintained. One of them is behind this door that I've laid there. The door is there to keep my dog off the trail. But a lot of the exotic fruit trees are down these trails, and got to do some maintenance. That's another thing I'll probably be recording, is just like me clearing trails and stuff. That oddly satisfying pressure washing type content. And then this is the back of the house. Again, we live up here on the 3rd floor. And yeah, I'll get into a house tour and all that kind of stuff in a separate video. I just wanted to show the land and talk about some of what we're doing. So that's going to be it for this one. Peace.